one of the sort of both the blessing and the curse, I suppose, of WhatsApp being so ubiquitous and so widely used is when it goes down, everybody panics.
Yeah, that is the point. I mean, these overly powerful apps, they produce a single point of failure. That is very attractive to threat actors. So if we look at threat actors trying to disrupt communication, or for whatever motive there may be, we've created our own single point of failure. And with businesses and individuals clearly just focusing on this one communication platform, we're falling into a very difficult place. We need to have more ways of communicating. And there are multiple platforms available to us with encrypted, very secure, privacy-focused even platforms at our disposal. But I suppose the problem is what's actually behind them. And I think looking at outages, the issue is one step beyond that, is actually there's a reduced choice in things like content delivery networks. And that causes a major disaster should these go down.
I mean, on the one hand, you want everybody using your product, right? Because that's how you end up with a successful product. You know, if you're using WhatsApp and I'm using something else and Chris is using something else, it's going to be very hard for us to have a conversation. But on the other hand, you are then really a hostage to fortune, aren't you? What's the right balance, do you think?
Well, it's about choice, and I would never say to a business to just use one messaging platform. I don't think many would, in fact, but there'll probably be a favourite amongst them. You might find that companies are using Teams to chat or Slack in their businesses, but then the other types of chat, maybe the moans and groans of a business, you might see just falling into WhatsApp. But when one goes down, the other one pops up. We always see it when WhatsApp goes down, everyone floods to Twitter to say, whoa, what's wrong with WhatsApp? And it seems to be the simple design in these platforms.
Finally this week, next time you wince at the crash test dummies taking the hit in a video designed to show off vehicle safety, have a close look at their torsos. For the last 50 years, they've been modelled on men, not women, as noted by the British campaigner Caroline Criado Perez in her book Invisible Women. And yet women's bodies have obvious differences, which means apart from anything else, seatbelts fit them differently. This should be an important part of safety feature research, and now one company in Sweden is trying to put that right, creating the world's first dummy based on a woman's body instead. Our reporter Shona McCallum went to visit them.
In the small city of Linköping, a team of engineers are strapping in their average female crash test dummy. She's built from materials that mimic the physiology of the human body. Precise layers of metal and rubber make up her spine. Her sensors are on and she's adjusted. She's ready to be tested. After the test, she'll provide the team with potentially life-saving data, measuring the physical forces exerted on her as if she was in a real rear-impact car crash. And she's the life's work of Dr. Astrid Linder.
The average female and the representation of the female part of the population is missing.
The reason that Dr. Linder's put so much time and energy into developing this average female dummy? Well, because when a woman is shunt from behind, she's up to 3 times more likely to suffer whiplash injuries than a man.
In order to ensure that you identify the seats that have the best protection for both part of the population, you definitely need to have the part of the population at highest risk represented.
Women like Susan, who was hurt in a crash recently.
It was a really big shock at the time, and my daughter was absolutely crying her eyes out. Her neck was hurting. She had a back as well. Got a stiff neck and shoulders. The anxiety of, are you going to be able to do your job because of your aches and pains?
Although not usually fatal, whiplash can cause lasting, debilitating disabilities. Currently, the industry uses a dummy based on the average male in car safety tests, and there's no requirement from the EU or US regulators for the average female to be represented.
This is also something that should be a requirement in the legislation and in the testing that is required by the car manufacturers to carry out.
The current so-called female that's used is the size of a 12-year-old girl. She's 149 centimetres tall and weighs 48 kilograms. Dr. Linder's dummy is 162 centimetres tall and weighs 62 kilograms.
We aim to improve protection for everybody. So this is a way to be inclusive and not exclusive.
The Swedish research will be made openly available next month. And with it comes the hope that not too far down the road, women could soon be safer behind the wheel.
Shona McCullum reporting now with the only dummy you'll ever find on Tech Tent, of course. Thanks to her and the rest of our contributors. We'll be back with more next week. In the meantime, follow Shona and everyone else's work on Twitter at BBC Tech and me at ZSK.
This is the BBC World Service, looking into the impact of China's new Silk Road.
In 2013, China launched the Belt and Road Initiative, establishing and expanding new trade routes reminiscent of the old Silk Road. Countries who sign up get investment, infrastructure and trade.
Certainly something that
I'll be looking at how China's taking advantage
of NatWest. She was using the past tense to say they welcomed the return to stability. Interesting point there, defending about saying why an extra windfall tax for banks she felt was not appropriate because, of course, banks already pay an 8% surcharge on top of regular corporation tax that all other companies pay already. Interestingly, though, the shares are down quite sharply this morning for NatWest by about 8 or 9%. Revenues were pretty much in line, but the bottom line, the profits were a bit disappointing. They've set aside some money for potentially bad loans as the economy worsens, though in the rest of that interview, she was perhaps less negative than you might expect, feeling that the UK economy was looking relatively resilient. And I just quickly also wanted to mention the big story out of the US. Apple and Amazon reported numbers last night, rounding off the big five of mega cap tech in the US reporting numbers this week. Microsoft, Google parent Alphabet, and Meta, the parent of Facebook, reported results earlier in the week. There's three big takeaways. Things are slowing down for everyone, apart from perhaps Apple, who showed great resilience in their numbers. Things are slowing most for those that are exposed to advertising. That's kind of to be expected in most economic cycles because corporate advertising spend slows when the economy spend slows. The difference in past years was that there was such a shift to digital advertising away from traditional advertising that these tech companies continue to benefit. That no longer looks like the case. They are mature businesses now and affected by slowdowns in the economy. And then just finally also that costs are rising very fast for all of them. We do have a graphic that shows how over the course of this week it is the profits that have declined much more than the top line revenues because of those cost pressures. And just to sum all of that up, year-to-date share price performance, Anna, for those big tech companies, Apple the best, still down 20%, Facebook the worst, down 72% year-to-date.
Oh, interesting stuff. And we'll look forward to seeing that graphic on your show. We didn't manage it on our show. We'll see it at 10. It's going to be a good one. Stay tuned. Wilfred, thanks very much indeed. Let's take a look now at some of the day's other headlines. And one person has been killed and 6 injured during a stabbing spree at a supermarket in the Italian city of Milan. One of those hurt is Arsenal footballer Pablo Mari, who's on loan to the Italian Serie A club Monza. The motive for the attack is unknown, but police say a 46-year-old man who's been arrested had shown signs of psychological illness. New research shows nurses are working the equivalent of 1 day a week for free. A study by London Economics found the salary of experienced nurses has fallen by 20% since 2010. The report claims that raising wages may save the NHS money in the long run because of the high cost of bringing in foreign workers. A change in your change is coming soon. I thought that was a typo, but it is a change in your change because the first coins featuring the King's side profile have entered production at the Royal Mint in Wales. About 27 billion coins with the Queen's face are currently in circulation. They'll remain legal tender, but coins with His Majesty will be in your pockets from December. Now, just a warning that some viewers may find the content of our next interview upsetting. A Sky News special investigation has uncovered disturbing testimonies from more than 20 former patients and their relatives about a group of mental health units for teenagers. Now, the company which ran the facilities, the Huntercombe Group, has been paid nearly £190 million by the NHS since 2015, despite repeated criticism of the standard of care that it provided. Well, Nikki Borton-Smith is the mother of Amber Raymond, who blames the treatment that she received in one facility for a deterioration in her mental health. And I'm pleased to say that Nikki joins me now. Nikki, thanks so much for coming in to talk to us. I know this must be a very difficult subject for you to talk about, so we do appreciate your time. Tell us a little bit about your daughter's experience.
Well, Amber had obviously been suffering a little bit with her mental health, and she'd developed an eating disorder. And she was voluntarily, she went into an inpatient unit, the Huntercombe Hospital in Maidenhead, the eating disorders unit. And really right from the beginning, I had major concerns about the level of care. I think for the first couple of weeks, they seemed to be quite flexible about letting us see her, spending time with her. But very, very quickly, things turned and they took control of everything that was going on with her. The way that they approached the eating made it almost impossible for her to make a recovery from her illness. There was a lot of punitive responses to her inability to cooperate sometimes with the programme of care. And I warned them at the beginning, because she would say to me, they're pushing me too hard. You know, she would try to make plans to progress and steps forward in her recovery. But every single time she did, it felt like everything they did undermined it. And I kept saying to them, you're pushing too hard. She's going to break, she's going to crack, and then she'll go in the opposite direction. But they were never, ever willing to listen to me. And really what happened, I saw as quite inevitable, was that she deteriorated hugely. She started to self-harm really significantly, to the point that she was really regularly trying to commit suicide every day, sometimes multiple times a day. And when you talk to Amber about that, and actually now she's been out of hospital a while, she's slowly finding the words to articulate her experience, which, like many of those girls have done, it's very, very hard to do that. But what she will say is, you know, that they got to a point where it felt like she would never escape what was really a daily living hell in that hospital. And, you know, the professionals there will probably hide, well, they hide behind mental health law. They'll say to you, well, you know, that young person is mentally ill. What do you expect? That's part of the illness. It's part of the progression. If you as a mother step in and you complain, they tell you to pretty much butt out, stop interfering, stop being controlling, stop being neurotic. And so you lose your voice, you lose your power, you lose your autonomy. And you're not really, you know, it's very hard to figure out whether you're right or wrong, but you have these really strong gut instincts, which, look, from the report yesterday, we're seeing were right all along, you know. And I think a really important point here is that these young people that are spoken out are not unique incidences. They are the tip of the iceberg. They are the tip of the iceberg. They are not just a handful out of many successful cases. I imagine if more people were able to find their voices and feel safe and secure in speaking out, we would find out that there are hundreds more cases like this.
How is she doing now?
Oh, well, she's come a really long way. So, you know, as a family, quite a long time ago, we decided we had to try and focus very much on moving forward with life, living all the positive moments we could, and using that for reinforcement, because the other thing that happens in hospital, of course, and if you can call it therapy, the type of therapies that were provided, it's always a major focus on all the negatives and all the negative experiences. And at some point we said, we need a shift here, this isn't working. So she's moved forward a really long way, but every day is a struggle, and she has to wake up and be brave every single day. She has been suffering with PTSD from her experience in hospital. I was able to identify that quite quickly because my brother is a Gulf War veteran with trauma. I think a lot of young people probably don't even know they've got trauma, that are suffering from it. And again, from the great piece of work that was done by Sky, we know that others have been diagnosed with PTSD. So she's been attending college for 2 years. She has aspirations to study music at university. And every day she just keeps trying.
And the group, which used to own Hunter Combe, has said it regrets that the unit failed to meet the expected standards of care. Does that go far enough, as far as you're concerned?
Honestly, it's a disgrace that they get away with keep repeating the same stuff over and over again. I mean, I think we know now from the report, this has been going on from 2014 at least, that we know about. And if you look back at the history, it's the same thing again and again and again. They will say, hey, I'm sorry that happened. We've taken your feedback. We're taking measures to improve. Well, actually, we put forward a complaint in 2019. They were under special measures at the end of 2019. They were under special measures in 2020. A young girl, very, very sadly, died in the unit earlier this year. That should never have happened, and in my opinion, it's criminal. And that's because they get away with keep repeating the same mantra and never being held to account.
OK, Wunderke Bolton-Smith, thanks very much indeed for coming in to talk to us about Amber's experience, and we wish her well, of course.
Thank you very much
indeed.
Thank you.
And just to say that last December, the Hunter Combe Group was taken over by Active Care Group, which told us that it has robust processes in place. Dr. Sylvia Tang has been the CEO since June 2020, and they've put out a statement. She said the previous owners retain all the legal entities and associated records for these facilities prior to their acquisition. The current group is therefore unable to comment on the services provided prior to this date. Even so, we're very saddened and concerned to hear about these patient experiences. And the previous owners, Ellie Investments Group, said it regrets the hospitals, which were independently managed, failed to meet the expected standards for high quality care. So that's what they have to say about that. And just to say that if you've been affected by this or want to talk to someone, you can call the Samaritans for free on 116 123 or email joe@samaritans.org. Let's find out what's happening in the world of sport now. Here's Eleanor.
This Sky News Sports Bulletin is brought to you by Vitality. Getting more people more active. Live life with Vitality.
I'm Natasha White and I got back up from EDS and FND. I get a lot of dislocations and they're a pretty regular occurrence. I think full dislocations are a lot more under control than they were a few years ago. I tend to get full dislocations a few times a month across different joints. It varies, but I get partial dislocations pretty much every day, and that's widespread across most of the joints in my body. Most of my dislocations, probably around 80%, happen while I'm asleep, when I'm not paying attention to what my limbs are doing and what my muscles are doing.
My name is Amy Conroy and I play wheelchair basketball for Great Britain. I'm a 3-time Paralympian and above me, amputee.
Is there anything that you want to learn? One that always looks useful is picking up a ball against the wheel.
That is a snazzy one. Yeah, to impress people, impress the boys. So basically, if the ball is loose on the floor, you use the momentum of your wheel, hold it on the push rim.
Okay.
So if there's a loose ball, you kind of gain a bit of extra time.
Yeah.
And you can work with speed. Yes! Perfect. Well, mine was because I was always sporty, like back in the 2-leg days, got cancer, lost a leg, became really self-conscious about it. I don't know if you've ever gone through a stage where you just don't accept your disability. I would wear, there's pictures of me on the beach in big baggy flares, in jeans, sweating away, and not a cute look. Because I was just embarrassed about it and I wanted to be normal. I was this little bald kid who came out of hospital. It was my dad who first suggested I try wheelchair basketball. And at first I thought, it's not going to be a real sport, it's going to be lame, everyone's in wheelchairs. but ate my words. I thought it was going to be like baskets on the floor. As soon as I went, I was like, that's unreasonable. 10 foot, how am I supposed to reach that?
Everyone's going to bubble wrap you. Like, no, definitely not in this sport.
But no, I was completely wrong. Like, it is aggressive, it's fast, it's dynamic, it's such a good sport.
So if I'm on defence, oh no.
And if we stand like side of the key, basically, principles of defence, I just want to mirror everything you do.
Okay.
So you know what you want to do, I want to stop you, so I want to copy what you do and then stop what you do.
Okay.
So so it's all like little movements, so I just want to copy. And then offensively, if you notice you're a bit ahead of me, you can...
This Sky News Sports Bulletin is brought to you by Vitality.
Now, with the nights drawing in and the weather getting colder, we're all prone to needing something to lift our mood a little bit in the shorter and chillier days of autumn and winter. And research shows that a simple smile may be enough. I'm joined now by the broadcaster and author Katie Piper to tell us a little bit more. So, Katie, smiling can make a difference. Tell us more about your campaign.
Yeah, that's right. I've teamed up with Belvita to launch the campaign Smile Spreaders. And it's all about, like you said, measuring the impact of positive energy and trying to pass on that positivity. And we've done that by celebrating 4 local heroes and the amazing work that they do in their community. So we hope by showcasing their stories and the examples of what they're doing, we'll encourage other people to do that too.
So what's it about? Basically, just telling people to smile and it makes you feel better. Is that the essence of it?
Yeah, so the people that we met, we celebrated them by doing this beautiful portrait series. The pictures you're seeing now on the screen were taken by celebrity photographer, Dr. Andy Goetz. And we all got together and did these pictures and we swapped stories. So there were some amazing people. We had a lady called Sam Pritchard that launched a campaign called Cards Against Loneliness, where she'd encouraged young people in her community to write to older people that were suffering from social isolation. Then we had a completely different campaign from a gentleman called Stefan Simonovitz, which is called Take One, Leave One, where he set up rails on the pavement outside local churches and encouraged people to leave coats, which originally started for homeless people to be able to take a coat. And then in the community, everybody got involved and they were leaving one, taking one, and no questions asked. Children were allowed to take them on the way to school. And just seeing these people doing these different things was encouraging this to spread within the local communities. And like you said, particularly in these sort of colder, darker months in the autumn and the winter, when it's sometimes a little bit more difficult to feel that way.
Well, yes, exactly. And some people have really real concerns, don't they? Especially at the moment. The winter months also mean higher energy bills. People are worried about that. I mean, how can you lift your mood just with a smile when you've got really big problems? Do you think it can make a difference?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. There's a lot of things going on in the world at the moment that are weighing on everybody's minds for various different reasons. And I think that's why positive energy is more important than ever, because, you know, focusing on our mindset and trying to turn things around and be an optimistic person goes a long, long way. And I know that myself in my own recovery, that sometimes it's those dark times that pull out those characteristics of us and we can underestimate our own strengths. So I would love other people to come on this journey with us, and I'd love them to submit their local heroes. Maybe they've got someone in their community they feel should be platformed and should be celebrated, and they can do that by using the hashtag Belvita Smile Spreaders on social media, and we will share their stories.
Well, yes, and there is evidence, isn't there? You've done surveys about how smiling can actively make people feel more confident. So even if you don't feel great when you're putting the smile on in the first place, it can actually, you start owning that smile and actually feeling it.
Yeah, you're right. It's not just the giving out, it's the receiving as well. I think, you know, it's a chain reaction when you're commuting and you're feeling sort of flustered and grumpy and someone smiles at you. It's almost a bit of a reflex. You feel obliged to smile back. And I do think you're right. It's correlated to confidence because somebody gave you their time. Somebody acknowledged you in a positive way rather than a negative attacking way that often happens on that stressful morning commute. So I definitely think you see that Mexican wave effect when you give and receive those smiles.
Okay, well, on that lovely image, Katie Piper, lovely to talk to you, and thanks for putting a smile on all our faces. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you, Anna.
Now, the production of the first coins featuring King Charles's portrait has started at the Royal Mint. The new 50p coin, which honours the new monarch's late mother, the Queen, will go into circulation before the end of the year. Sky's Becky Cottrell went to the Royal Mint for a sneak preview.
History in the making, quite literally. These are the first coins featuring King Charles III. And these 50 pence pieces also pay a special tribute to his mother. The reverse is a replica of the coin produced to celebrate her coronation back in 1953.
So anyone under 50 will only ever have seen Queen Elizabeth II on their coin. So significant moment today where we're putting a new monarch into that circulation. So it's quite common for male monarchs not to wear a crown on their coinage. It happened to his father, his grandfather. When they were on coinage, there was no crown.
If you're particularly observant, you'll notice that His Majesty is facing the opposite direction to Queen Elizabeth II on the coins that we currently use. That is in keeping with tradition when there's a new monarch. The portrait was designed by sculptor Martin Jennings using photos and was personally approved by the King.
It has to be an image that will persist over the years and that will represent the generality of what people imagine monarchy to be about. So it's not just a portrait of him, it needs to contain the role.
We'll still have coins with the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II. They'll only be replaced once they're worn or damaged. But you won't have to wait long for these, which could start appearing in your change in December. Becky Cottrell, Sky News, the Royal Mint.
Now, the artist Ed Worley has recently turned down a six-figure sum from a gallery to show his work. He says art should be for everyone, not just the privileged. Life has at times been tough for Ed. He spent 8 years living on the streets, struggling with drug addiction and poor mental health. Pleased to say he's here with me now to talk a little bit about his artwork. But tell us how you got there, first of all. A really tough 8 years living on the streets then.
Yeah, so it's not as kind of clear-cut as just being out every day. It was back and forth to home and the difficulties that come with drug addiction and alcohol abuse. But it's a brutal existence. It's lonely, but I don't look at it in a negative view anymore. I look at all of that experience in a very positive way because I use that in how I create every day and how I live my life and just the lessons I learned from it.
And were you creative in that time as well?
I tried to be, yes, but suffering from psychosis on a daily basis, it's incredibly difficult to concentrate on anything. I tried, but I failed in a big way with that.
But how helpful has it been in your recovery and moving on?
Incredibly helpful. Yeah, my creativity, the process of it has saved my life, and I can't put it any more blunt than that. It's so important to me, and I use it on a daily basis. The process of being creative allows me to live within a specific moment instead of my mental health getting in the way and living in the past or living in the future, because there's no space for anything else apart from purely focus on what I'm doing at that time.
And I think we've got some images of your artwork. So, but put it in your own words, how would you describe your art?
Chaotic urban pop art, basically. It's my mind poured onto a painting, onto a canvas. It's living with addiction is, repeating the same process over and over again and expecting a different outcome, and that's insanity. So with my artwork, I repeat the same image or the same process over and over again, but I create a completely different outcome, and therefore breaking that cycle of insanity that I lived in for such a long time.
And you, as we said, got an offer from a gallery, a big offer from a gallery, but you turned it down. And some people might say, this is a guy that's lived on and off the streets for 8 years. Why would you turn down an opportunity like that?
Well, I met the team at the Qantas Gallery, and it was an instant connection. And, living with addiction and where that took me, that's all about complete isolation. So the opposite of that is human connection. And with what the path I was going to take, I feel like I would have just been a number within that process. And as I said, the process of creation and creating every day, that kind of outweighs the outcome. So whereas it's not just about numbers with me, it's about the whole thing in general. And they really understood that at Qantas Gallery. And and they allow me to be completely creative with what I want to kind of pursue with my work. And so.
And yet galleries allow people to go and view your work. That's kind of sharing with people. So was that not the issue?
No, it was more about the level of output and what it was going to, and how's the way to say it? Just the final product. That's what it was going to be. And yeah, there was large sums of money involved in it, but it's not all about that for me. It's about keeping my mental health intact, being able to look after my family, which is my most important goal, and being a good father.
And is your work changing, do you find, as you kind of more time elapses between that really tough time that you had and recovery and moving on? Are you noticing that your work's changing?
Absolutely, yeah. It's an ever-evolving process, and it's very organic, which is great. I love that. I just go with how I'm feeling at the time and just constantly try and make subtle changes but push it forward, whether that be with the imagery or the way I'm painting it, and then just adding smaller different parts into it every day.
And where can people see your work now?
I have an exhibition on at the moment with the Qantas Gallery, which is on Fashion Street, called Sanity Through Repetition, which runs until the 5th. There's a whole body of work up there, ranging from sculptures to large paintings, and yeah, that's up there at the moment.
And how are you feeling these days? How do you feel like you've put that darker time behind you? Are you?
Absolutely, yeah. I have 2 fantastic kids. And my partner, Rue, she supported me greatly through this whole process. And I just live on a day-to-day basis. I implement all of the things I've learned from my past and the creativity I now use. And I just try and move forward day by day. And that's what I think life's about.
Yeah, very positive message to end on, Ed Worley. Thanks very much indeed. Really interesting to talk to you. Thank you. Time now for a quick look at the weather. How's it shaping up for the weekend?
Anticipation is rising, and so is the atmosphere. Are you ready? The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
Well, the mild and changeable theme will continue, with showers or prolonged rain spreading from the west. It's a mild, wet and windy start for many, with coastal gales around the Irish Sea, but it's drying up from the southwest. The rain, locally heavy, will move through on strong winds through the morning, becoming confined to Scotland by lunchtime, and that'll leave most other places dry with sunny spells, but there'll be a few blustery showers around. It'll be warm, especially in the south. The afternoon will see wind and rain clearing Scotland, while blustery showers will take over more of Ireland and Northern Ireland. After a largely dry start to the night, rain will move into Ireland and southern Britain later, albeit patchy in the southeast. It'll stay mostly mild with a brisk wind in the southwest. The rain will edge further north tomorrow, allowing central and southeast England to brighten, but northern Scotland looks fine into the evening, and it's going to be warm again, especially in the southeast.
Welcome to Gabby Dave Global. We are a UK-based online e-commerce store, the first of its kind with license to trade in African products. Some of the products are clothing brands and all beauty accessories, hair and beauty brands, natural aphrodisiacs, processed and dried unprocessed food. Our mission at Gabby Dave is to connect African and Caribbean businesses to customers globally. At Gabby Dave, we ensure our sellers get the best deal for their products. We are not just here to help you reach a wider audience. We are also a distribution center to support business growth by fulfilling orders to your customers from our warehouse, making sure customers receive their products on time. We are inviting all Black-owned businesses to trade on our platform because we strongly believe Africans have a unique brand the customer would appreciate globally. So get in touch today and let us make your product and business go far. Here are some of the benefits of using Gabby Dave Global. User-friendly platform, track your shipment, online support, transparent process, multiple SKUs, multiple products, a platform that encourages manufacturers as well as traders. Our marketing and PR interventions amplifies yours. Organized products and categories for easy access and navigation. Access to global community, especially within UK and Europe.
Twitter and immediately sacks the company's top executives. Amazon shares drop more than 15% as the big tech giant warns of a weakening global economy. NatWest's chief executive tells Sky News banks are already paying significant taxes above other sectors as it upgrades its financial expectations for the year. And a different ballgame, how the founder of Gymshark went from working out of his garage to opening a flagship store in central London. A very good morning to you. This is Ian King Live. I'm Wilfred Frost with business and economic news from the heart of the city. Elon Musk has completed his $44 billion takeover of Twitter after months of going back and forth over the deal. In an immediate shake-up, Musk fired the platform's chief executive and finance boss. It's claimed they were escorted from the platform's HQ in San Francisco. Well, that move comes as other major tech firms are warning of a weakening global economy, with both Apple and Amazon sales taking a hit. Amazon shares tumbled by more than 15% after the US stock market closed, with the firm forecasting far weaker sales for the festive season than expected. More on that in just a moment, but first our correspondent Martha Kellner has the latest on the Twitter takeover.
We're expecting Elon Musk to return to the headquarters of Twitter here in downtown San Francisco tomorrow to address staff in a town hall style meeting where he'll hear their queries, perhaps even their concerns about the future direction of this organisation under his guidance. And it will be interesting to hear what sort of a response Elon Musk receives, particularly in the wake of him getting rid of some of those major lieutenants in this organisation. And I've seen staff this evening, Twitter staff, outside the headquarters in tears. So there are clearly major changes afoot. And it's important to note that this has been a long time coming. Elon Musk first made an unsolicited bid for Twitter back in April. He's been dropping crumbs of information since then on what he expects Twitter to look like under his control. Less moderation, he's been suggesting, of what users are allowed to put on the platform. But he did tweet this week, Twitter obviously cannot become a free-for-all hellscape where anything can be said with no consequences. There are major elections on the horizon, both here in the USA, the midterm elections coming up, also a presidential election in Brazil on the horizon. Both those events are likely to be plagued by misinformation and election denial. So this will be a first real test of what Elon Musk allows to be put on his platform. It's a first major test. We'll find out very soon where exactly his red lines are.
Martha Kellner there. Let's discuss that takeover and the broader tech earnings season. Joining me now, Dan Ives, Managing Director, Senior Equity Analyst at Wedbush. Dan, great to see you. Thanks for joining me.
Great to be here. Thanks.
Let's touch on this Twitter deal first of all. Clearly, it's been a crazy back and forth and much in the headlines for various reasons. But what's your take on the price that Elon Musk ultimately has paid for Twitter?
Yeah, look, in my opinion, it's going to go down as probably the most overpaid tech acquisition in the history of M&A. I mean, he's $44 billion for an asset that we think is worth probably about $25 billion. Look, he got into a deal he couldn't get out of, got cold feet, and ultimately now is going to own Twitter. And for Musk, ironically, the easy part was buying Twitter. The hard part's going to be fixing it.
Really interesting, Dan. And clearly we've got a temperature check on tech more broadly in the US this week. Let's touch on Apple first of all. Biggest company in the world, reported numbers last night. Did they manage to display resilience that no other company has managed to show?
Yeah, look, they're probably the only clear standout positively in large cap tech, which has been a horror show this week when we look at Meta, Amazon and others. I think for Apple, it's the resiliency of the install base. And when you take out currency, would it beat across the board? I think this is really going to be a mainstay. I think it just shows steady hands with Cook and Cupertino navigating through the storm. This is a stock that I expect over the coming weeks is going to rebound.
And if we try and draw the takeaways on the negative side across the other big four, Microsoft, Google, Facebook and Amazon, what were there common negatives across them, or are they individual stories?
I think there's a bifurcation that's happening in tech. I think relatively cloud is holding up well. We saw that a little bit with Microsoft, Google. Even the AWS number was pretty impressive despite missing. But it's the consumer. I mean, you look at digital advertising right now. I mean, this is a cold, dark winter in terms of what's happening. That's really hurting. You see it's hurting Google. It's hurting, obviously, Meta, which is its own sort of separate train wreck situation. Then with Amazon, the e-commerce piece. And look, I think after these companies have really spent like 1980 rock stars, they're now going to have to tighten their belt, and we're going into a softer climate.
So touch on the Amazon number, because we obviously got that late last night, and they're a commerce company that everyone knows so well. Does that bode badly for more broadly other parts of retail, or is it more Amazon specific?
Look, I think for Amazon, I think Jazzy ultimately inherited a bloated company. And when you go into the December quarter, I mean, look, that outlook was a Friday the 13th. I mean, it was a horror show in terms of that guidance, shocked the street on e-commerce, softer than expected going into holidays. And this is after also they just run 2 Prime days. And the cloud business is strong, but you're starting to see maybe a few cracks there. You combine that as a bull, the last thing you want to see from Amazon. That's why the only one today that's standing, up straight positive would be Apple.
And let's touch on, I think you described it as its own unique train wreck for Facebook parent Meta. Talk us through why that's perhaps the worst of the bunch this week.
Well, I mean, right now, that's really, with Zuckerberg, it's really resembling more of a Ted Stryker 1980 airplane movie. I mean, you have massive social media headwinds at a time that they're basically putting all their effort to the metaverse, which is 3 to 5 years away, does not instill confidence. I think that's going to continue to decline. TikTok's a major competitive issue. The problem here, Wilf, is that they're focused on the metaverse, where their core golden install base right now, they're not doubling down on. So that's why Zuckerberg, if you look, this is going to be, I think, some dark days ahead. And if you listen to that conference call the other night, man, that's probably one of the worst conference calls I've heard in 22 years of doing this on Wall Street.
And just finally, Dan, to wrap things up, I mean, I guess over the last decade or so, all of these companies have been exposed to such amazing secular growth stories. Their industries were growing regardless of what the economies around them were doing. Are they all now mature businesses? And if the economy turns south, so do their share prices?
Yeah, look, I think essentially the clock struck midnight on hypergrowth, and now it starts to get into more mature growth. And then that's ultimately really going to come down to how these management teams navigate. Do they cut costs, get through this rough patch to ultimately maybe re-accelerate on the other side? I think the blooms come off the rose for Wall Street. You've seen these stocks continue to lead. They're going to continue to be there, and I think Apple and Microsoft and some others could emerge. But no doubt, I mean, for the next 3-6 months, it's going to be some darker times for big tech, which they've not experienced for the last decade.
Dan, great to see you again. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Now, the CEO of NatWest has told Sky News that the most important thing for businesses and households across the country is economic and political stability. Speaking to me earlier, and the full interview is coming a little bit later in the day, Alison Rose defended the industry's current tax contribution as well.
On taxes, the banking sector already pays significant taxes. We have, normal taxes and the bank levy that has stayed in place. So we're paying more tax than any other sector and more tax than the financial services sector in other countries. So I think what's really important is, a strong performance from banks is good for the economy. We can support our customers, and we need to make sure we remain competitive and an investable sector for people. So, and we're already paying significant taxes above other sectors already. It's so important that we have stability. If you are a business owner and a household, uncertainty is really difficult. And we've seen a massive drop in business confidence caused by uncertainty, instability, that huge volatility in the swap curve that was created. None of that is good. And for businesses and households, what you want is economic stability, political stability, and certainty. So we're very pleased that there is more of a calmness, less volatility in the market. That's really important. If you're a business, deciding to make investments, you're not going to do that unless you have some comfort on the outlook going forward. So, a period of economic stability, political stability as we navigate the macroeconomic trends that everyone's facing is really important.
CEO of NatWest there. We'll have more of that interview to come later on. NatWest, just one of a number of the UK banks that have been reporting earnings this week. Let's discuss all of them with the head of investment at Interactive Investor, Victoria Scholar. Victoria, great to see you again. Let's touch on NatWest actually individually first, because the tone of the interview was relatively upbeat. The numbers weren't too disappointing. Why is the NatWest share price down 8 or 9% as it is this morning?
Hey, Wolf. Yeah, so we're seeing that shares have sunk to the bottom of the FTSE 100. Quarterly profit actually fell short of expectations while revenue came in line. It withdrew from the Republic of Ireland, which was as expected, and it made increased provisions for bad debt, which appears to be a major theme this earnings season for the banks, with rising risks of default given the sort of volatile and shaky economic outlook. I think the remaining government stake also is a key overhang for NatWest, and the stock was down just by 1% over the last year. So it's performed pretty well compared to some of its rivals, but after today's slump, it is now underperforming the FTSE 100 so far this year.
And what's the theme from, we've heard from other banks this week, from Barclays to Standard Chartered. Are they experiencing similar common themes like that, particularly that aspect of provisioning for more potential bad loans in the year ahead as the economy turns out?
Well, I think the biggest theme this earnings season has been rising interest rates, which has helped to boost their net interest margins, so how much they earn in terms of loans. So Standard Chartered and Barclays, for example, they managed to beat thanks to higher net interest income, which is, of course, on the back of higher interest rates driven by the combative policies from the Bank of England and the Fed and the others to try to curtail inflation. And that's helping to see some of these European banks catch up with some of their Wall Street counterparts. And in particular, it's helped some of their credit card products. So in that respect, it's those banks with more of a retail leaning that have done particularly well and are perhaps a good hedge against inflation. But on the other hand, there are concerns about a deteriorating economic outlook. Of course, the recessionary environment tends to bring about more and more defaults, which banks are having to set aside greater provisions for. And then another big theme has been this year's market volatility, which has brought about a slump in M&A and IPO activities. So banks like Barclays, which have a bigger investment banking unit, they have been seeing less corporate activity and less fees generated through that division.
Victoria Scholar, thanks so much for joining me this morning. Very much appreciated. Worth noting as well that the broader FTSE 100 is lower today, as are US futures, quite significantly lower given some of those disappointing earnings that we were mentioning earlier, like Amazon, which is down double-digit percent in the pre-market. Let's bring you some developing news from the Old Bailey this morning. And a woman who was found guilty of murdering and decapitating her friend in order to inherit her estate will be sentenced today in televised proceedings. And our correspondent, Shaman Freeman-Powell, is outside the Old Bailey in central London for us with the latest. Shaman.
Yes, good morning. That's right. So Gemma Mitchell will be sentenced here today at the Old Bailey. Yesterday, she was found guilty of not only murdering her friend Mi Kuan Chong, also known as Deborah Chong, but also for decapitating her body and driving 200 miles to Devon to dispose of it. And during the trial here at the Old Bailey, prosecutors described Deborah Chong as a vulnerable woman, someone that was dealing with mental health issues. But despite this, she was still someone that believed in charity and was a giving friend. And they say that this is what Gemma Mitchell preyed on. The two had actually met at a church group, and prosecutors say that during the course of this friendship, Gemma Mitchell had convinced Deborah Chong to pay around £200,000 towards renovating her £4 million property, as she was experiencing financial difficulty in paying to do so. But just days before Deborah Chong was murdered, Deborah had changed her mind about giving her friend this money, and prosecutors say that this is where their friendship turned sour, because on the morning of June the 11th last year, Gemma Mitchell was seen walking towards the direction of Deborah Chong's property. She was captured on CCTV carrying a blue suitcase, and hours later she was seen leaving the direction of Deborah Chong's property, still carrying the suitcase, but this time it was visibly much heavier, and prosecutors say that's because the suitcase had Deborah Chong's remains inside of it. The prosecutors say that Gemma Mitchell then caught a cab back to her home, and that's where she kept the remains of Deborah Chong for 2 whole weeks before decapitating her body and then driving 200 miles to Devon to dispose of it. It was then that holidaymakers taking a stroll stumbled across the remains of Deborah Chong, and a few meters away her head was later found. Police say that when they later searched the property of Gemma Mitchell, that they then also found forged documents. Gemma Mitchell had tried to forge a will giving herself 95% of Deborah Chong's assets, which was worth around £700,000. Now, the police, speaking yesterday in the statement, said that Gemma Mitchell hadn't spoken during her trial, which meant that lots of questions were still unanswered. They don't know why she decided to keep Deborah Chong's remains for 2 weeks. They don't know why she decapitated her body or why she drove 200 miles to dispose of it. But police say that they believe it's because Gemma Mitchell was an evil woman that carried out an evil act for financial gain.
And Shimon, talk us through as well the significance of the fact that this will be a sentencing live on television.
Well, it is very significant. I believe that all photography in criminal courts in the UK was banned back in 1910. However, back in 2020, there was a law change which meant that criminal proceedings in Crown courts could be televised. And this is only the second time that this has happened, and the first time that the defendant will be a woman. But it will be very different to some of the criminal proceedings, the televised proceedings that we see coming out of the US, for example. Often in the States, when these criminal cases are televised, it's in full with a lot of detail about the criminal case. However, it will be very different here in the UK. To give you an example, the first 10 minutes of this sentencing will not be televised. This is because the defence and the prosecution will go through details that can influence the judge's decision on sentencing. Now, viewers won't be able to see the first 10 minutes, but after that, they will be able to see the inside of the Old Bailey here. But the camera will be fixed on the judge, so that means that viewers won't be able to see the jurors, for example, or defendants or witnesses or even journalists. They will only be able to see the judge, who will be giving out his sentencing, and often that's where the judge can give remarks of why they've decided to choose the length of sentencing and some of the background and details of the case as well. So this is only the second time this has happened, and it's all about that age-old saying, isn't it, about justice needing to be seen to be done. And it's a way that the UK criminal justice system wants these most serious cases in Crown courts to be more transparent.
Shimon, thanks so much for that breakdown, and we do expect that live sentencing to take place fairly soon. It's been delayed a little bit, but we will definitely return to it as soon as it does begin. Meantime, we'll pivot back to a bit more business news. And online leisure and fitness brand Gymshark will become an omni-channel retailer. That's tomorrow when it officially opens the doors to its first bricks and mortar store on Regent Street in London. It's a big move for the company, which is just a decade old, founded by British entrepreneur Ben Francis from the bedroom of his parents' home. I went along to the flagship store in Regent Street to talk to Ben.
It's definitely a pinch me moment. It's not anything that I expected us to be doing, certainly not this quickly in our company's history, but I'm really excited to open this weekend, and I'm really proud of what we've achieved so far.
It's an interesting way around, of course, of doing things. 20 years ago, it would be the bricks and mortar presence first and build out online afterwards. You've done the opposite. Will this store pay for itself, or is it more of a big brand marketing exercise for you?
So for me, this is about being a true community hub right in the biggest city in our home market here in the UK, where the brand was first started. And there's sort of three key pillars to this store, right? It's all around community, conditioning and retail. Now, granted, we're going to be selling products here, we're going to be driving revenue here, but it's really important to me that we have a community hub and a place where you can come, you can lift, and you can learn about lifting and really get educated in the fitness space.
And it's an incredibly impressive two-story shop. You've shown me around it. I mean, there's the cafe, but what stands out is all the areas to work out and to change. I mean, it's a gym in a store.
Yeah, and it's a really flexible space. And when you're in a place like this on Regent Street in such an iconic location, there's a real pressure to do something special and really be up there with, you know, some of the neighbours that we have here. And the fact that we've been able to create such a special retail space, and then with the flick of a button, you can turn this retail space into a genuine gym environment and have people come down and do lifting sessions and studio classes and things like that. I think it's really unique and special.
I think you said to me as we were going around, you struck the deal on the rent in the middle of the pandemic. So I hope you got a very good long-term deal.
Yeah, honestly, it was a real moment, because this probably came a year or two sooner than what we thought. And we were actually in London looking for an office at the time. The guys actually sent me a picture of this place from the outside, and we were so deep into the pandemic that there was no one on the streets in London whatsoever. And it was a moment that I think we just had to grab with both hands, because maybe if it was before the pandemic or if it hadn't happened, maybe it would have been another year or two away. But given where the rental market was at the time, it was a great opportunity for us.
So that's all the positives. I mean, are you starting to feel, though, on the negative side, the cost of living crisis pinch, the potential for recession? Are you worried about that? You're quite a high price point set of goods.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely seeing more of it in the UK. Now, we're quite fortunate in the sense that we are quite a global brand. I mean, about half of our revenue comes from North America, so we're able to, I guess, take a step back and look at the global market. And everyone's feeling it. The UK seems to be feeling it the most, and we are seeing that. But listen, we're trying to build a 100-year brand here, and we see brand investment as a true long-term thing.
You mentioned your exposure to the US there, 50% of sales. Does that mean you feel like you've already made it in the US, or such a big market, it's just tip of the iceberg?
No, it's definitely tip of the iceberg. We've got a long way to go in the US. We're still very small, and granted it makes half of our business now, but we're still very much in startup mode, and we're tiny in that market. So we see it as a massive opportunity moving forward.
And if you snapshot between those two markets in the last sort of 6 weeks or so, has the sort of economic turbulence, the market turbulence, the political issues here affected your business, or does it already look like just a blip on the radar, as it were?
Listen, it's you can see it. You can definitely see it in terms of people's shopping behaviours, but equally, it's really difficult for us now to know what normal looks like, given the fact that previously we had COVID, we had the lockdowns, and then we've got everything that's going on more recently. So it's really difficult to know what normal looks like. Fortunately for us, we're still a growing brand, and there's still tons of people visiting the website, and I guess the reaction that we've had in the run-up to the launch of this store here in London has been absolutely outstanding.
And you're 30. I mean, it's remarkable what you've achieved at such a young age. And yet you're also pretty experienced now in the business world. You've done lots of different roles within your company. How does the relationship go with your private equity backers? Do you find it easy to stand up to them, to disagree with them where necessary?
Yeah, I mean, they're absolutely great. So General Atlantic invested into our brand about 18 months ago. Their UK office is literally a stone's throw from here, which is great. I'm in conversation with them all the time, and they're super supportive, and we're really aligned about building a truly long-term brand here. Yeah, honestly, I couldn't speak more highly of them.
Well, the private equity investors around the world will be flattered by that compliment. And then just finally, Ben, I mean, extraordinary rise clearly changed your financial circumstances in enormous amount. Do you think that has changed you significantly?
I would say the business's rise has given me opportunities that I never thought I would have. I've definitely seen parts of the world I never thought I would go to, and I've had the opportunity to meet some really cool people that I've really been able to learn from. And then I think when we actually did the General Atlantic deal, I think there was a moment there where I was sort of wondering, like, what would life be like afterwards, and will I still maintain the hunger that I had when I was a teenager in the West Midlands, sort of hand sewing some of these early products. And I'm really happy to say I still love what I do more than anything. I feel like I've got the best job in the world, and I still definitely have the exact same hunger that I had at 18 years old.
Ben Francis there, and the Gymshark store, the first of its kind, opens tomorrow on Regent Street. Still to come here on Ian King Live, we'll bring you some more of our interview with the NatWest chief executive the day they reported their results. The shares down about 8 or 9%. The FTSE is down about 1%. We'll be right back.
I'm Inzamam Rashid, and I'm Sky's North of England correspondent, telling stories from this culturally rich region I call home.
It's going to become very similar to other places and lose its unique qualities.
It's steeped in history.
If the Taliban found your family, what would happen?
I think they're just going to straight away execute them.
There are issues of racism in all levels of cricket.
I was on the balcony a couple of times. I was nearly gone.
Football is a joy to watch, and when people are disappointed, you can feel the hate.
I just felt physically sick, so I was like, that's really in my system.
We take you to the heart of the stories that shape our world. Even before the pandemic, GPs were pleading for help. Government expects more face-to-face contact with patients in return.
Men, they want to force you doing something which you don't want to do. Just because you're homeless and you're looking for a warm place to sleep.
We give a voice to communities often unheard and unserved from a region with a distinct history and global impact.
9 p.m.
is the time for debate. Time for discussions.
Net zero means
Time for answers.
The evidence is there.
Time to join the conversation.
I really hated it.
To try and make sense of issues that affect you.
9 p.m. 9 p.m. 9 p.m.
is the soundtrack to your weeknights on Sky News.
Welcome back. The CEO of NatWest has told Sky News that the most important thing for business and households across the country is economic and political stability. I caught up with Alison Rose this morning. She also defended the industry's current tax contribution, as well as talking about the economic outlook. I began by asking her whether she welcomed rising interest rates.
Well, clearly it is a strong performance and a resilient performance, which we're very pleased about, and good momentum in the business going into next year. Obviously, higher interest rates are a positive for our income, but importantly, we're growing our lending as well with 5.4% increase in lending as well. What it means is the bank is in a strong, resilient position in order to support our customers in what is a very challenging economic environment for them as well. So making sure that we're in a strong position so we can continue to support the customers, consumers, households and businesses navigate the period ahead.
As you mentioned, the lending increased, the volume of loans increased. Does that suggest that, in fact, this quite negative outlook for the economy that we've all been discussing in recent months is a little overdone in your eyes?
Well, there are clearly challenges ahead. I mean, we're seeing with higher interest rates, higher inflation, that's causing a squeeze on disposable income and reserves for people. And the uncertainty that we've had recently in the UK as well has weighed on business confidence. But what we are seeing is a really good resilient performance. The 5.4% increase in lending growth we're seeing across our consumers with good growth in mortgages, but also in business as well, as people are continuing to grow their businesses. We've seen very strong growth in climate sustainable funding and financing. We're at 26 billion of our 100 billion target that I announced last July, and we've seen good growth in the mid-market. So, there is good activity. Businesses and households are very resilient. There is a good buffer, but people are facing uncertainty. But that good growth, I think, is a positive. And for us, lending responsibly, continuing to put credit into the economy in a responsible way is really important to help people navigate the period ahead.
Let's touch on mortgage customers in particular. How concerned are you for them, and particularly those of them on floating rate mortgages as these interest rates continue to rise?
Yeah, I mean, you've clearly seen a big increase in mortgage rates, which is definitely a concern for people. If I think about our mortgage book, it's largely a fixed book. 93% of our mortgage book is fixed, and we've been proactively helping our customers, manage that transition as rates have been moving. We opened up the roll-off period from 4 to 6 months. So we've helped around 100,000 customers move on to new fixed mortgages. So of the 70,000 customers who will roll off mortgages by the end of the year in our book, 80% of them already have rolled on to a new deal. So that gives them certainty as we go forward. And obviously, there's been a lot of volatility in the market, which is a challenge, but we are seeing rates come down. We've put some reductions in mortgage rates today are going through as the swap curve has moved. But it's another squeeze on people's disposable income, and uncertainty is difficult. So with our book, which is largely fixed, we're able to help customers plan ahead and make sure that we can support them as they move into new mortgages.
There's, of course, been a lot of talk about windfall taxes, given the tough economic times, on the companies or sectors that are benefiting despite tough economic times. And so far, that's focused on energy. Increasingly, it's focusing on banks too. And as you mentioned, you do, all else equal, benefit from rising rates. Is it very different, though, from energy companies, given the starting point banks already face various surcharges?
Well, I mean, I would say a couple of things. I mean, firstly, having, a strong, resilient banking sector with lots of liquidity and capital is really important in order to support the economy going forward. So I've always talked about it's really important for us as NatWest to be a strong and resilient partner. So, good liquidity, good capital is really important. On taxes, the banking sector already pays significant taxes. We have, normal taxes and the bank levy that has stayed in place. So we're paying more tax than any other sector and more tax than the financial services sector in other countries. So I think what's really important is, a strong performance from banks is good for the economy. We can support our customers, and we need to make sure we remain competitive and an investable sector for people. So, and we're already paying significant taxes above other sectors already.
And have you welcomed, as such a sort of central cog in the economy here, have you welcomed the stability that has come back to the UK markets and with it perhaps the UK economy from the transition in government?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important that we have stability. If you are, a business owner in a household, uncertainty is really difficult. And we've seen a massive drop in business confidence caused by uncertainty, instability, that huge volatility in the swap curve that was created. None of that is good. And for businesses and households, what you want is economic stability, political stability, and certainty. So we're very pleased that there is more of a calmness, less volatility in the market. That's really important. If you're a business, deciding to make investments, you're not going to do that unless you have some comfort on the outlook going forward. So, a period of economic stability, political stability as we navigate the macroeconomic trends that everyone's facing is really important. So we're very pleased to see more stability coming in.
And so stability is back, as you mentioned, but to what extent, Alison, when we saw that spike in volatility in the middle of September, were you reminded of the financial crisis of 2007 and 8? And did it make you reassess the risks that your bank is exposed to make sure that we wouldn't go through the same sorts of challenges as we did back then? Is there a risk of another financial crisis?
Well, I think the banking sector is in a very different place. And if I think about, my focus at NatWest is it has been ensuring that we are a safe and resilient partner for our customers. We have very high levels of liquidity. Our CET1 ratio of 14.3%, high liquidity, a resilient and well-diversified loan book means that we are well positioned to deal with the volatility that comes. Clearly, what we were seeing over the last few weeks is extreme volatility, particularly in the price of gilts and what was happening on the swap curve. And that volatility is very difficult and very stressful. But the bank is in a very strong position. We stress and test our bank to make sure that we can respond very well and that we are there to support our customers. So I think it's very different. The banking sector, the financial services sector is in a completely different place to the global financial crisis. Clearly, there are economic cycles, there are macroeconomic challenges, but the banking sector is resilient, well positioned, which is important to support customers and the economy as we navigate through the times ahead.
Alison Rose there, NatWest CEO, whose share price is down fairly markedly this morning, around about 8 or 9%. Let's get you updated more broadly on the markets, starting with foreign exchange, with currencies. You can see the British pound up to 115 over the last few weeks. Is down today. It did cross into the 116 handle yesterday, down about 1/3% today to 115.22. Interesting headline today, though, is really the euro, which, as you can see there, is at parity with the US dollar. It's in fact fractionally below parity if we go to more decimal points, 0.9956. The headline, of course, coming from the ECB yesterday. The European Central Bank did increase interest rates by 75 basis points, but the commentary guided to the likelihood that they might pause from here, and that softened the euro over the course of the last couple of sessions. Just worth noting as well the fact that the last time the euro was down near parity to the US dollar was
Sendwave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. And the best part is, Sendwave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use Sendwave? Sendwave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about Sendwave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamb.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamb@gmail.com. Well Lamb Shippers, fast, reliable and trustworthy.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Prum Prum Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And the morning show.
This is Starr Radio.
This is
UK.
Starr Radio
UK.
This is Starr Radio
UK.
Welcome.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio. Starr Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
Welcome.
And the morning show.
This is Starr Radio.
This is
UK.
Starr Radio UK.
This is Starr Radio
UK.
Welcome.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio. Starr Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
Welcome. Welcome.
People, the train is about to leave the station. All aboard! I'm riding with Jesus on the Hallelujah train. Oh, riding, the devil can't stop me. No, no, for I am heaven bound. Though the road may be rocky, oh, many trials gone through. Oh Lord, I'm riding with Jesus. Yes, on the highway train all around the world.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Ready to turn it up. Bound for glory. This is Starr Radio. I'm riding, carry the pure of the holy. Say I'm riding, 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 riding with Jesus on the hallelujah train. This train is bound for glory, yes, and it's a hallelujah train. I'm riding, I'm riding. We'll tell the glad story, of how we overcame. The angels' wings folded, as we gather round the throne. Oh Lord, yes, I'm riding with Jesus, good Lord, on the hallelujah train. This train I'm riding is bound for glory.
All right, good morning, good morning. What a beautiful morning. Time check 45 minutes by the hour of 10.
I'm riding
right here in the UK.
Riding with Jesus.
And I welcome you on board the Starr Radio train this morning. The 28th of October,
Jesus
2022.
on the hallelujah train.
I'll say good morning to you, my brother Phyllis.
Can't stop me.
Archie Speedy Recovery, good morning.
For I am heaven.
Our producer Francis and the Frances, the two of them. So I call them our producers.
Oh yes, and many
Abdullah all the way Uganda, I say good morning to you. Olayomi and the crew, I say good morning to you.
Jesus, glory to God on the high.
Mr. Bar all the way in Gambia, I say good morning to you. Dr. Prince Klujesin all the way in Ghana, I say good morning to you. To all the team at Salter Network, Prince, Aram, Andy, Che, Wisdom. I say special good morning to all of you for the good work you're doing.
Riding with Jesus on the hallelujah.
And again also to Dr. Ose all the way in Nottingham. I say good morning to you. And right down to Ghana, Apostle Kodia, the VC of Pentecost University, I say special good morning to you. We got a very packed program this morning. We apologize for a little bit of delay, but we were following the news. Wanted to understand more about what is happening in the business environment.
For I am heaven bound.
Hey, but we're ready to go at exactly 11 o'clock. Olaomi will be here to give us updates about what is happening in Nigeria.
Many trials gone.
And like we promised you yesterday, this morning we're going to be having two guests in the studio, and we're going to be talking about the Jean Joseph Justice Bill. So this morning we're going to be concentrating on that a lot. And the guests will be coming into the studio, and we're going to be having a chat with them as well.
It's bound for glory. This train I'm riding, carry the pure and the holy. Say I'm riding with Jesus.
So tell a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend. You're right here with Starr Radio UK right now.
This train is bound for glory, yes, and it's a hallelujah train. I'm riding, we'll tell the glad story.
Let's go straight. If this is the first time joining us, by way of program outline, we're going to go to the weather, the transport update, and some headline news. As already mentioned, at exactly 11 o'clock, we'll be live in Nigeria.
Oh Lord, yes, I'm riding with Jesus, good Lord, on the hallelujah train.
Alicia, say good morning to you.
It's bound for glory. This train I'm riding carries the pure and the holy. I'm riding with Jesus on the hallelujah.
All right, let's go straight to our weather update today. The heavy rain in the west will quickly sweep northeastwards across the UK, but should be fairly light and patchy to the southeast, turning drier in the afternoon with sunny spells. This evening will start to dry conditions and plenty of clear spells. Thicker cloud will gradually build in from the south, bringing spells of rain across most of Wales and England by dawn. That's why we're going to be having terms of the weather.
Jesus, glory to God on the hallelujah train. This train I'm riding.
And let's go straight to the temperatures. This
train I'm riding.
Again, we're going to be in double digits. We're going to be looking at around 15. Some areas we experience up to about 18.
Come on,
the lowest we expect today should be around 8.
Riding with Jesus.
And that'll be in the mountainous areas. That'll be around 12 midnight.
Train is about to leave the station.
So generally, we're going to have a quite good weather.
Riding with Jesus on the hallelujah. This is the last train.
And that brings us to the end of our weather update. We go straight for our transport updates, like we always do. The transport update, please. This is in reference to what is happening right here in the UK. Wherever you are, we might, or your time, whatever is happening over there, my dear friend. Wow, we're back in our traditional area trying to bring you some music, but that was an error. My error. I assume responsibility for that. Not the technical men who are behind the scene trying to get things going. So let's go straight for our transport updates. And as usual, we're going to be starting with the underground in London. Apart from Victoria Line, which is experiencing a bit of minor delays due to an earlier fault on the track, all the others are running as they should. So from Bekalu Central Circle District all the way to the tram, Piccadilly, the Victoria, London Overground, they are running good services as they should. Victoria Line is experiencing a bit of minor delays because of what happened earlier, which was a 40 truck. We got a bit of closures on some of stations at the Morning Crescent, somewhere near the Morning Crescent. If you're heading towards Camden area, you do have a bit of that Morning Crescent station is closed. But apart from that, we do not have any major incidents to report on all other stations. When we come to the buses, no major incidents apart from the few the few roadworks, mainly because of utility activities that you experience across most of this area, most of London. When it comes to the traffic, we do have a bit of closures. So on A13 we experience a bit of closures. A4, A41, Central London route, and on South Circular we do have a bit of closures. On A406 we do have serious delays as well on that route. When it comes to our river buses, the ferry, as Woolwich Ferry has special service, one boat service as we may call it, Apart from that, the cable line, we do have good service, and other river boats also have good service. On the national rails, we do have a bit of service interruptions, and I advise you do check before you travel. That brings us to the end of our weather and transport update. We're going to go for a quick music break, and when we return, we will proceed with our program. We're going to go for a quick music break to allow us to basically adjust ourselves after these commercials, and then we'll proceed with our program.
And Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Right, time check from our studios, exactly 56 minutes past the half 10. Because of our time, we're going to go straight to the headlines before Larry may join us at exactly 11 o'clock. Let's go straight with some headlines that are making news, and we'll come back and look at them in detail. Senegal NGOs urge Macky Sall to give up the third mandate. Ivory Coast welcomes French warship to fight with troops for training. Uganda's health ministry assures Ebola virus outbreak under control. Dr. Congo army clashes with M23 rebels around strategic Eastern Highway. Western Sahara Security Council urges resumption of talks. We're going to be looking at that. So we do have a French warship that has landed in our part of the world. What are they looking for? But the South Africa, Ramaphosa condemns U.S. security alert warning of attack in Johannesburg. Rex, yesterday we had that of coming from Nigeria, where Lai Mohammed was actually basically condemning the U.S. and say, hey, nothing is going to happen. The security alerts are fake, and it's not going to happen. Nigeria is secured, well secure enough. Here again, we have the U.S. issuing another alert. And this time it is the president of South Africa who is actually calling the bluff and calling the US an insensitive nation and telling them what you're doing, what you are saying is not on. We'll look more into that story. Kenya's new cabinet sworn in 2 months after vote. So yesterday we told you they were going to be sworn in. They have been sworn in, and we're going to be looking at the cabinet, those who made it to the front seat, and what their agenda is. Peace and Security Forum ends in Dakar. We're also going to be looking at that. Gaddafi inspired acts awarded in Italy. So Gaddafi inspired art awarded in Italy. We're going to be looking at that. What is happening over there? We know Gaddafi and Berlusconi were friends. Sarkozy were also friends. There's a song that I'm going to bring you which has to do with Gaddafi, and that's about my brother Black Rasta all the way in Ghana. I hope you're doing well, bro. We'll be in touch later. All right, so those are some of the headlines coming from Africa. We'll look straight again. Headlines over here whilst we wait for that time on top of the hour for Laomi to join us to go straight to Nigeria. Elon Musk completes 44 billion Twitter takeover. So now he owns one of the biggest social media. You know what? This guy is just an interesting guy. Whether he started renovating Twitter office or whatever you call it, he's actually holding a toilet, a sink. He carried a sink into Twitter headquarters. As to what he's going to do with the sink, we actually do not know. We're going to be talking more about that. The bed is freed. That's what we've been told. He tweeted the bed is free, which means that free from control. Are we going to see Donald Trump back on Twitter? Are we going to see Donald Trump back on Twitter? What exactly is happening? So Elon Musk has taken over the biggest microblog website, Twitter. He now owns that completely. So we're going to be looking into that story because that is very, very significant. That is very, very significant. We know some time back they nearly ended up in court. Not that they went to court. I mean, Twitter took Elon to court, trying to force him to buy what do you call it, the company. So we look at that woman who decapitated friend sentenced on camera. We're going to be looking at that. Yesterday we touched on that. That story was a very, very, very I mean, I don't know how to describe it. Painful one, and I think the woman deserves or any sentence that she's given, and I wish and I pray that she's given a whole life sentence, because that what he did, just because you want to actually inherit someone's assets, you went ahead and decapitated them. I think that is not on. You live together in a large property in North London, and the two of you decided to add an upper floor to the house. This proved to be your undoing. You and your mother paid a total of 230,000 to two builders, one of whom evidently cheated you, and you were thereby exhausted of a large part of the resources. Clearly intelligent judge comments on murder. Talking about Michelle's profession, the judge says you are clearly a highly intelligent woman, having attained first class honors in human science from King's College University, and then gone on to qualify as osteopath. You went to live and work in that capacity in Australia, returning to live here with your mom in 2015. I don't know. It's a very, very sad. It's a very, very sad story. The sentence is ongoing. Vincent Chong was extremely generous. That is the judge speaking. Judge goes on to say that Michelle, like Michelle, was a very devout Christian. So this woman is also a Christian. This woman who is committing this crime is actually a Christian. You know what, listeners, I'm going to try and see if I will cross over straight to the court to actually pick up that feed live. If I can, I'll see if I can pick that feed live. It's a very, very interesting development, and I think the lady should expect every sentence that is handed over to her. I will not blink on that. I will not blink on that at all. I think she was very barbaric. She actually behaved in a very cruel manner. I think we should be able to join the broadcast live from the court. Let's see. The judge is still reading out the sentence.
Please take the defendant downstairs.
All right, I believe the judge has just finished that. We will be monitoring that. Anything will bring it to your attention. But that's the judge, and we'll bring you details about that. Pretty sure. Victim was particularly vulnerable with mental illness, which the woman sought to be pretending to be helping. So let's say how long she's been given. That will be coming up very shortly. That should be coming up very shortly. So camera in court, the hearing is finished. That is what we've been told, but we'll bring you how long she's been sentenced very shortly. Anyway, let's go on for other headlines that are making Russia deploys more than 30 drones in 2 days. That is what Zelensky is saying. I wouldn't bring my family here, says hospital medic. We'll go into that. Is it the UK or is he working somewhere that said he will never bring his family? He's actually sleeping basically on a couch, and we'll look at that. King Charles 50p coin struck for the first time. So the king's head is now outdoored, and very shortly we should be seeing it on our currencies. We should be expecting a welcome Olaimi any moment from now to join us for updates from Nigeria. But before then, let's see what he's posted, and then we also look at some headlines from Nigeria as well. All right. 2033 Two-Face, Tiwa Savage, Akim Omo, Wizard Ades, Mam as Obi Tinubu divide celebrities. So that is why we have been told the celebrity world is also being divided, and we'll have a look at that pretty shortly. What is happening? Who is taking what? Are they just doing it for doing sake? What is influencing their support for whoever they are supporting? That is a question. The question is about what is influencing them. My question is not about who they are supporting. If you are being motivated to support someone purely because you believe in their vision, you think their track record shows that they can do it again, then I am with you. But if that is not the case, and you only support him because an envelope has been given to you, then I'm afraid I'm not going to be part of that game, and I don't think we're going to be happy with that. I do have with me our brother Olaimi Kwike, who has just joined us all the way from North London Studios. Let's join Olaimi. Good morning.
A very good morning. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, Olaimi. How are you doing?
Yeah. Well, very good. Good morning to you. Good morning to all our viewers. Good morning to those that have joined us from around the world. And welcome once again to the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. It is the 28th of October, Friday edition, the end of the week, but the beginning of the weekend on the Starr Radio UK platforms. And I'll slightly come back again to you in the studio.
How is the family doing?
Well, the family are doing very well. Just the final weekend before they'll be returning back again, to school tomorrow. On Monday rather. Yeah. After a very long, 1 week off, which I believe is well needed. Especially for children that are being drilled in a way compared to African countries where education is not as valued. So the children are very good, and I hope yours are doing good as well.
Yeah, everybody's doing fine. Right, what is happening today? Today, I know we're going to be looking at that petition, but let's go straight to what is happening in Nigeria. But before then, I don't know whether you'll be following this story that happened in North London about this woman who decapitated a friend, an elderly woman. Have you been following that story?
The woman, sir, I didn't catch that.
Okay, the woman who actually killed and actually decapitated the friend's body. Two devout Christians.
Was that in Nigeria?
No. Here. Okay, I'll bring you the story. Let's go straight to Nigeria first, and I'll bring that to you. Let's go straight to Nigeria, Larry.
Yes, quite a lot of news and headline coming out of Nigeria, and the most important thing, let's start with the release. From the Yoruba self-determination leader, Professor Banji Akintoye. He actually released a statement yesterday, saying that 2023 Tinubu personal interest. The Yoruba Nation agitator, Professor Banji Akintoye. Quite a lot of different headline from that. That's from one of the headline. Akintoye, Tinubu 2023 after personal interest. We know that Tinubu is a Yoruba man, and it seems that the message from Professor. Yesterday we were actually playing one of his released video, but I think we can now say that and there've also been a response from the camp of Tinubu as well. We're going to be going through all that, but let's go into what Professor Banji Akintoye, the leader of the Yoruba Self-Determination, had to say to Tinubu in a communique statement that was actually released yesterday. Once again, this is Starr Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, where we give you all the latest news coming out of Nigeria, and likewise the news affecting the diaspora as well. So the Yoruba Nation Self-Determination Struggle, a State of a Nation address. Tinubu is only after his personal interest. He cares not about the welfare of the Yoruba. I come with love this afternoon for all the Yoruba people at home and in diaspora. I am doing this program specifically for our people who are not Yoruba but interested in our struggle for self-determination. People are asking for too many questions. We are now at the stage when most of our activities are concentrated in persuading most of the international community to give us support. So the reaction of Professor Banji Akintoye yesterday have also come back from the camp of Tinubu as well, as the camp has also said something exactly different, that Tinubu is not after his own personal interest. Atiku is currently in America, even in the midst of a lot of rumors that Atiku cannot travel to America. But I can confirm that Atiku is present in America. I'm not sure the location of Peter Obi. The last time I saw him, he was somewhere trying to look into the flood issue in Nigeria. But yesterday I was following Showore on Twitter, because it's an election time, so there's a lot of activities going on across board. And actually one of a comrade, a human rights activist, Dari, I'll get a full name in just about a few minutes, actually died, and I'll be giving the response of Omoyele Showore. So as the gearing up for 2023 is getting closer, yes, just about 15 hours ago, almost 20 hours, this is what Showore said. Yesterday, we lost an amazing human being to the cold hands of death. Rest in peace. Ariyo Aristo is a human rights activist, and sometimes I'm told one man standing in front of the Senate campaigning for, just as we say, a crime against one is a crime against everyone.
Yeah.
Injustice to one is injustice to all.
That's true. Injustice to one is injustice to is an injustice to all. Before we go further, let's pause on this Tinubu issue. Tinubu is a Yoruba man, right?
Yes.
So are they saying or are we saying that some people are viewing Tinubu as, if he becomes a president, he'll be able to stop the agitation? Or how is that playing up with Yoruba people? Because we know the self-determination group, which is this Yoruba Nation, that's where he hails from, and he seems not to be supporting the cause. That is what that's the information that we're picking up. So is it being put over there strategically to try and break the front of the self-determination, or what is going on over there?
Well, there's quite a lot of response to that. When we look at the action of Tinubu as a governor for 8 years, the question is, when those that are campaigning for the 2023 like Tinubu will not be able to to do anything on the 1999 Constitution, and the way the country is currently, it will definitely not be. And Tinubu has actually said he's going to continue what Buhari has done. So we're expecting the same agenda and the same pattern. Yes, Tinubu has his own followers on the ground, but the question somebody like Professor Banji Akintoye is asking is it really somebody that cares about the Yoruba, knowing fully well the history between the Yorubas and the Nigeria as a whole? But there's been a response from the camp of Tinubu, your action is unbefitting of your age, Tinubu tells Professor Banji Akintoye. The presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, has called out the leader of the Yoruba group, Ilana Oodua. Professor Banji Akintoye stating that his disposition to pull the Yoruba nation out of Nigeria was unbefitting. And the question that a lot of the indigenous people are asking is, who is a Nigerian if not what Lugard created in 1914? Nobody was in Nigeria. And I also got a new letter that the British have responded again in regarding to their view on the question that people have asked them, what is your take in terms of recognizing the Yoruba nation? I'll be giving that content of the letter for the first time, on Starr Radio UK before the end of the program. But I'll come back again to you in the studio.
I'm interested now about the age game that was going on. one grandfather accused another grandfather of.
well, I mean, when you look at Professor Banji Akintoye, an historian, he's 87, yes. And Tinubu, we don't know his age. It seems there's a lot of changes on his biography on the Google where his name has been.
Tinubu is about 70.
He can't really tell us how old he is. Yeah. But it seems that Tinubu is not taking that, and he has actually responded as quickly as possible. Tinubu, who stated this in a statement that was issued by his director of media and publicity, Tinubu Shetima presidential campaign, Bayo Ononuga, was reacting to Professor Akintoye allegation that Tinubu presidential ambition was self-serving. Akintoye had on Thursday said the Yoruba people have decided that they want their own country, and we have decided that since 2019, and there's no looking back. We want the Yoruba nation now. That is the decision of the overwhelming majority of the people. However, there are some of us who think that they don't a lot of things for some political friends in Nigeria, and they want to earn the benefit of it. One of them, I said, in the next person, Emilokon. This has been the slogan. Remember that Tinubu says Buhari was crying on the television. I actually pull him, and Emilokon literally means it is now my own turn. So you can see that the Ononuga, in a response, our attention has been drawn to the unfortunate, misdirect, misplaced, divisive statement credited to Professor Banji Akintoye, in which his group is threatening to pull the Southwest out of Nigeria. To be candid, there are several agitation groups in the Southwest and in other part of Nigeria who wrongly think the best way to demand for justice and fairness is through the breakdown of the country. I'm not sure what Ononuga means by that, because when you look at it, in the right settings, the indigenous people have the right, if they decide they don't want to be part of the country.
But an interesting thing in that submission from him is that he has admitted in that statement, he has actually sided with the agitators. Although he is against the approach, he has admitted in that statement that there's injustice that is ongoing on, the unfairness that is ongoing on. Because he said, that statement is saying that, he said, look, they see it as the only way to address the ongoing injustice. So the question then is, those in government haven't acknowledged that there's injustice, unfairness that is going on, which is actually pushing some people to ask for self-determination, go for their country. What have they done as a government to be able to address those issues, apart from sending armed gangs to attack, to arrest, and to kill the leaders of those groups? What have they done? That is the question we should be asking the government now, because if they have acknowledged that, look, these people have a case, the only thing we do not agree is that the way they're trying to address it, how are you addressing this as a government? That has not been answered by the government. Olami.
Well, you're quite right, and I've got the letter. and I'm sharing the content of the letter for the first time on Starr Radio UK. This was actually sent to me, 2 days ago, but I've been, so busy we couldn't discuss it yesterday. This was addressed again to the Foreign and Commonwealth Development. This time around, addressed directly to Vicky Ford, the Member of Parliament, the Minister for Africa and Latin America and the Caribbean. And this was dated 31st of August 2022. And again, it goes like this: the UK government shares your constituent concerns about the range of the security challenges in Nigeria faces, which includes violence in the Southwest. This is having a devastating impact on the affected communities. The UK government condemns all violence against civilians in Nigeria, including that which affect the Yoruba communities. While security in Nigeria is the responsibility of the Nigerian government, I would like to reassure the constituents that I have discussed their response to insecurity with the Nigerian authorities on a number of occasions. Most recently with the Foreign Minister Oyema, Vice President Osibajo, when I visited Nigeria in February. I also raised the issue with Nigerian National Security General Mongono during the inaugural dialogue of the Nigerian UK Security Defense Partnership in February. The Prime Minister also discussed insecurity with the President Buhari at the Commonwealth Head of Government meeting in June. It is important to know that the perpetrators of violence do not come from any ethnic or religious group, and the effects are felt by communities of different faith and ethnicity across the country. We are supporting local and national peace building and to encourage dialogue between many ethnic groups and communities that make up and contribute to the strength and diversity of Nigeria. Finally, your constituent call for the UK government to recognize an independent Yoruba nation. The UK government respects the territorial integrity of Nigeria. We support the Nigerian government commitment to secure prosperous Nigeria for its citizens, and is committed. So you can tell that it is the same template of letter that was also sent to the other Yoruba individual that wrote a letter that we discussed on this platform. So it now indicates that as much as there is evidence that the UK government has agreed that there is a lot of different ethnic groups in the country, but in terms of the dissolution of Nigeria, is definitely going to come from the hands of the UK government.
They wouldn't want to be part of it. They were those who pierced Nigeria together with glue, with what I called some minor glue, and that glue, I think the expiry date has actually come and it's not holding together again. They don't want to be part of whatever goes on in Nigeria again. But look, if a people, we say no nation on this planet, including even UK, became a nation without struggle, agitation. In fact, the Welsh were somewhere, the Scottish were somewhere, and even as we speak, the Scottish are actually trying to go their way. If you look at Northern Ireland, as of yesterday, they couldn't form a government after months of negotiation struggles. People say we don't want to be part of the Sinn Féin. DUP didn't want to be part, and as we speak now, within the next 6 weeks or 8 weeks or so, an election will come. It's all about struggling for what they want. Some people want to be part of Europe. Some people want to join hands with their Northern Ireland counterparts. Some Irish Republic. Some people say no, we want to be part of the UK. So the struggles continue, and I don't think they should be able to stop people if the people are determined. If the people are determined to have their own, you cannot force horses to drink water, even if you take them to the riverside. Olami, let's go back to Nigeria, please.
Well, let's go back to more other headline. It seems Lagos State Governor has now put together 423 firemen to boost the firefighting capacity, especially that in the last couple of weeks we've seen a couple of fires in some of the market in Lagos State. I was actually watching the video that was released from Lagos State where the vehicles, I think about 62 fire engine, a very good one. We hope they will have enough water inside when they are called into operation. The UK licenses 91 Nigerian doctors in 15 days as more Nigerians are using opportunity to flee and look for greener pasture. The United Kingdom General Medical Council has licensed fresh 91 Nigerian trained doctors. According to accreditation of the 91 doctors occurred over 15 days between October 10 and October 25th. So you can tell that 91 Nigerian doctors that should be serving Nigerians at home are now going to be serving us here in UK, which is a good thing for those of us that are here, but a concern for a lot of Nigerians that are now crying out loud, as I'm going to be giving us a picture of something that I saw infested in a hospital in Ogun State where pregnant women are actually giving birth. I'm going to come back again to you in the studio where the engineer and the headline says, pregnant woman decried termite infested health center, knock Ogun State. The image of that is going to come up on the screen in just about a few minutes. Once again, this is your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, Star Radio UK, and I come back to you now again, Mr. Frank.
Olayomi, what is very troubling in that submission, that statement for me, is about the fact that we have not to date we have not be able to recognize,
and that is what the hospital looks like where pregnant women are giving birth to in Ogun State.
Wow. No, hold on, is that Are they the beds they are sleeping on?
That's it, yes.
Oh my word. Well, someone will tell you at least they have a hospital. Let's hope there's a doctor over there, though.
Well, let's hope the doctor are not one of those that have actually been accredited here in UK as well.
And they call this place a doctor, and they call this place hospital.
Yes, it is an hospital. Yes, it is. Yeah.
God save us.
So, well, this is part of the problems in Nigeria today, where healthcare is one of the biggest threats.
Yeah.
The total number of Nigerian trained doctors now in UK now stand at 10,387.
Yeah. Olami, what troubles me with that, it is not only about the people coming here, it's about the very fact that we as countries are not viewing these people as resources. Why do I say that? If we cannot provide jobs for them, why don't we legally come into an arrangement with UK and other countries? We know Cuba doctors, they are shipped across the globe sometimes to go and help. Yes, they do as part of their social responsibility to others. Sent to African countries, especially to go and help. But we know IMF and World Bank, UK government, DFID, and all those things ship to us half-baked people they call consultants. I call them half-baked because some of them know jack about our problems, but they are those who are sent to our countries to come and talk to us and show us how to fix something they don't know how to fix, right? And whatever aid they are giving us, they use those to pay. Part of it is paid to this consultant. Why can't we engage some of these countries and say, okay, you give us consultant, we give you nurses and doctors, and you also pay us, because we use taxpayers' money. Look, the poor woman in Ikeja market, their taxes is what has trained this doctor, and they are not going to benefit from the services of this doctor, but someone in the UK enjoying are going to benefit from it. Olami is something that troubles me a lot.
Well, it is, just going into the image that we have behind us. Pregnant women and resident of Agada community in the Pokia local government area of Ogun State, southwest of Nigeria, have decried the state of the health center in the community. They lamented the conditions of the health center made access to good healthcare services almost impossible for them. They complained that many pregnant women resorted to medical treatment due to the non-availability of healthcare workers and facilities. When the media visited the facility, which you're looking behind me, it was discovered that the compound of the center was bushy as the building was nearly collapsed. The windows were broken and the iron bed rusty and termite infested. Also, the labor room was unkempt. The only nurse on duty, who did not want to mention her name for security reasons, said the pregnant woman still trooped in and out of the hospital despite the poor condition. So you can imagine that the only center that you're looking right there in front of you, for those of us that are watching us on Starr Radio, will see the picture properly, indicate that even as much as worse it is, more mothers are coming in their troops to give birth in there.
That is very, very sad. That is very, very, very sad. The hospital, the images that we are seeing, the image behind Olayomi is what the hospital looks like. But those are the conditions that we find ourselves in. If you're joining us, this is Starr Radio UK, and we actually looking at updates coming from Nigeria. Olayomi, let's go straight to the other headlines.
This headline says security alert in Abuja. Is the Fulani government of Nigeria collaborating with the UK and the US to assassinate Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in the DSS facility? The level of awareness resulting in sensitization of the world in general and Nigerians in particular by the undaunted media machinery of the energetic IPOP under the leadership of the charismatic and indefeatable Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in this phase of Biafra self-determination pursued by IPOP has overwhelmed the British and the Nigerian government to the point that it has thrown them into the state of absolute disconvolution, frustration and desperation. Because of the state of the confusion and despondency, the British government through our office in Nigeria called the UK Nigeria under the Superintendent Katrina Lang has been carrying out all manner of cruel, oppressive, and repressive acts against the Biafrans, including but not limited to various false flag operations with view to incriminating, blackmailing the Biafrans, particularly the IPOB we saw. So the headline says, security alert in Abuja, is the Fulani government of Nigeria collaborating with the UK and the US to assassinate Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in the DSS custody. This is again still Starr Radio UK. Lagos State Court remand a man over 66.5 million fraud is one of the headlines as well. A man collapsed and dies after sex in Ondo Hotel is coming from the headline as well this morning. Jonathan sympathized with flood victims, call for solidarity is the headline at exactly 11:27 a.m. Ogun State man rapes 13-year-old stepdaughter. He blames devil for that. I come back again to you in the studio. When we come back now, we're just going to go straight to the social media. It seems that Lagos State needs to borrow 350 billion naira to fund the 2023 budget. The Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu now presented yesterday 1.69 trillion naira 2023 appropriation bill to the House of Assembly. The bill is is 1.34 trillion would occur from internal generated revenue, federal transfer, while a deficit in finance of 350 billion will be sourced from external domestic loans and bonds projected to be within the state fiscal sustainability parameters.
Wow.
More governors are putting their budget for 2023. Well, we hope 2023 will all meet every one of us in peace.
Well, 2023 is just a few less than 70 days away.
So give our countdown here on Starr Radio UK do all the time to the last seconds. How many more days before 2023? As also the Biafrans are putting their countdown for declaration. Quite a lot is happening, but according to us here, it is now 105 days, 13 hours, 29 minutes, and as you can tell, seconds keeps removing from that
for the election to take place in Nigeria. Allow me, because our time, let's go straight to the social media handles, please.
Well, social media is where conversations get through, because that is the only way Nigerians and the diasporas and the indigenous, everybody can put in their own message across. So we're just going to go straight to what is trending when you put in Nigeria, generally, just to find out what people are saying about Nigeria this morning. Oil was found in Olibiri, Nigeria in 1956. Oil was found in United Arab in 1958. Norway started oil production in 1971. Today, a Norway pension fund has $1.2 trillion. Dubai has a fully diversified from oil country to tech and luxury hub. Let's talk about Nigeria. We have failed to develop. That is not God's fault. This is coming from Toyib Adewale Adelodun at Tab D Lodun on the Twitter this morning. Don't go to Abuja. If you are in Abuja, leave now. The US issued fresh warning to Americans' diplomat relation in Nigeria. 1 hour ago is a headline coming as well. Let's now take two more. It seems that the Peter Obi, I don't know whether this is a photo shot, but it seems that they found their way to the highest points in the world, Kilimanjaro, where Peter Obi flag is actually flying up there, and I can tell Peter Obi is excited. I am always overwhelmed by the show of love and support from the obedient in Nigerian diaspora. Your many acts of sacrifice measure me of your patriotism and flaming desire to take back your country for good. Whether this is a photo shot, because I know that it's quite expensive to take such a trip. But before we go, this is just going to be one more. You left Nigeria due to bad leadership, but landed abroad and started supporting the same people that made you leave. May deportation locate you.
Who is that coming from?
Well, this coming from Akon Ogedengbe at Eco Geeks. You left Nigeria due to bad leadership, but landed abroad, started supporting the same people that made you leave. May deportation locate you.
Oh my word, my word. May deportation never locate you if you are listening to us wherever you are. To our brothers and sisters who are in Russia, those in Saudi Arabia, wherever you listen to us from, our ambassador all the way to US, may deportation never, I mean, someone say,
Not my question.
Anyway, Olami, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's speak behind the scene after the program. It's been wonderful having you once again. And hi to all the Rua Nation people. Tell them I'm still waiting for my manifesto. I want the leadership.
I will tell them that.
I want the leadership
for the weekend, but make sure you stay tuned. Starr Radio UK has a lot of programs lined up for Saturday and Sunday. I'll be back again on Monday morning. Stay safe for those of you back in Nigeria and those of us here as well. Let's remember to send money to our loved ones for the weekend. SendWave is the best option.
Well, I would like to say big thank you on that note. Have a great weekend. We'll speak later. All right, listeners, that was Olami Kweke bringing you all the updates from Nigeria. As you know, let's go for a quick music break. We go for a quick music break, and when we come back, we'll look at the headlines making news right in the UK over here. Like we told you, today we're going to be having an interview on this the Jean Joseph Justice Bill. We're going to be looking at that pretty shortly. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to? Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. I want to know. Which way Nigeria? Many years after independence, we still find it hard to start. How long shall we be patient before we reach the promised land? Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way? Which way Nigeria? Tell me. Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. Yes, I want to know which way Nigeria is heading to. Every little thing that goes wrong, we start to blame the government. We know everything that goes wrong because we are part of the government. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way? Where to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know which way Nigeria is heading to. Inefficiency and indiscipline is ruining the country now. Corruption here, there and everywhere. Inflation is soaring high. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Sure. I want to know. Yes, I want to know which way Nigeria is heading to. We made mistakes during the oil boom, not knowing that was our doom. Some people now have everything, while many have nothing. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't fall. Which way Nigeria? I want to know which way Nigeria is heading to. Green revolution is a reality. Let's give it a chance to grow. Let's join our hands to farm the land so we can have enough food to show. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way? Which way Nigeria? I love my fatherland. Oh sure. I want to know. Yes, I want to know which way Nigeria is heading to. Our ambition to be millionaires is running the country down. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. Yes, we want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to? Remember that a simple step is the beginning of a million miles. Let's start right now to rebuild ourselves so as to make the country smile. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh sure. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to? Heaven and earth.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamb.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamb@gmail.com. Well Lamb Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Prampram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Prampram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
Thank you very much. Welcome back to Starr Radio UK. Welcome back to Starr Radio UK. And this is a morning show with myself, Frank Davis, sitting in for Archie Hammond. Archie will be with you on Monday. I'm still waiting for my guests to arrive. I'm still waiting for my guests to arrive. They were supposed to be here by this time, but I understand there's a bit of unforeseen traffic on the way, and therefore we're now expecting them here within the next 15 minutes. Hopefully within the next 15 minutes. At exactly 12:30, we'll have Mr. Dantebre, who will bring you the money hour. Today's Friday. Thank God it's Friday, and therefore we go to some people call it chill out, but you need to balance the books. So we have we will have Mr. Dantebre here, who will actually be telling us more about budgeting, more about money, more about tax issues from 12:30 onwards. Let's proceed with our news. If you listen to me and you are in Ghana or have a property in Ghana and you need internet connectivity to it, good news has come your way. Celtel Ghana Limited is relaunching, by this time providing cheap and affordable data nationwide wherever you are. So those of you who want to take security issues very seriously, you can have your CCTVs now fitted with internet connectivity, and you can monitor whatever you're doing right from here. They have satellite coverage across the whole of the country, and therefore gear yourself up. If you hear you have a property in Africa, they have license to go to other African countries, but they're starting with Ghana. So wherever you are, gear yourself up and get ready. Wherever you are, you're Ghanaian, wherever your property is situated, get it connected, get it hooked to unlimited data with Celtel. From next week, we'll be telling you more about that. Connections ongoing. KB Bossman, thank you very much also for the good job you're doing right in Ghana, and the whole Celtel team. I say a special thank you for the good work you're doing. Now let's proceed with our other headlines that are making headways. We've just arrived from Nigeria, so to say. Now let's cross over straight to where we call home sweet home, right here in the UK. Now headlines coming in. We're telling you about a woman who basically was sentenced a few minutes ago at the Old Bell Judge Richard Mars casing handed down the sentence, which is the first televised sentence of a woman, and also for the crime of murder in England and Wales. Gemma 38 has been jailed for life. I am happy for that. Has been jailed for life with minimum term of 34 years for the for the murder of 67-year-old. That's almost like a whole life. By the time she comes back, 38 now plus 34, that'll be when she will be 72. She'll be done for that. I think a whole life would have even been better, but I think she deserves of a beautiful lady. Gemma, great, fueled, brilliant girl. First class honors degree from King's University. Millicent, I hope you're doing very well. This is a very brilliant girl, and then greed actually pushed her to do, and the most unfortunate thing, she called herself a devout Christian. The two of them, the person she met, they are devout Christian. It's very, I don't know what might have influenced her apart from greed, and this is what they can do. It can destroy you. The love of money can destroy you. When they talk about it, it can destroy you. So she has been sentenced for 34 years minimum, life imprisonment, and this is what we have. We also understand energy bills. We know winter is coming, but the good news is that gas prices, wholesale gas prices are falling. Good news that is coming. Europe has been able to fill its storage facilities with liquefied petroleum gas that will last them for 3 months, actually preparing for the worst scenario should Russia issue escalates. But again, news over here: energy bill fears as winter looms on edge of Scotland. We know in winter areas, although we all get into winter, there are places that tend to get colder than other areas, and therefore, if you are paying energy bill, those who reside in those areas are going to be paying more. So let's say energy bills here on the very edge of the Scotland mainland are way above the UK average, and they have been rising fast. Glenley is the stunning location, gazing out across the Channing Kyra narrows to the Isles of Caves, but the weather can be unforgiving often cold and wet. And like many rural areas in the UK, the place is actually is not on the main gas grid. That means it relies on a costly source of heat such as oil, electricity, and solid fuels like coal and wood. Wherever you are, I don't know, but that is what we get in that. Although we live in the same country, by virtue of your geographical location, you might be paying more for energy. But some also tell you, look, where I live, I pay more council tax for, the same property. Someone tell you, oh, the value of the property, yours is higher. Say, okay, well, when I park, we all pay the same route as I cannot drive on the route. So you can drive because they don't charge you parking charges when you park along. So the arguments will continue. Wherever you are, there are advantages, there are disadvantages. Let's go on with our news headlines. We'll take one more from the UK over here, then we'll move across to Europe, and then we'll be heading to the Caribbean, the US, and then we'll come back to Africa, end up in Ghana. And at exactly 12:30, we'll have the morning man join us. We're hoping to have Simone Fraser and the colleague who are championing the bill, the Jean Joseph Justice Bill, with us at exactly 12 o'clock. At exactly 12 o'clock, they'll be meeting today. Hopefully, some executives at the Credit Council to present their petition and the number of signatures they've received so far. If you are on social media, on our Facebook, we've posted those links. Please click on that link, go to change.org and sign that paper, sign that petition, sign it. We want to see a change in the direction of policy. We want to see a change. We want to get a place to acknowledge that when they're dealing with black kids, especially when they deal with the minors, they have to respect the law. They have to respect the law. They cannot be manhandling, they cannot be destroying our future kids the way they have been doing. And that's what the bill is all about. Go there, sign it. I want to see your signature right at the bottom of that paper. Now, what next for Twitter and Elon Musk? Let's see what is happening. Elon Musk finally, it is a moment nobody was quite sure would actually ever happen. After months of drama, Elon Musk said his $44 billion, that's 38 billion pound deal to buy Twitter is complete. He announced the big news on Twitter itself. Of course, he has changed his bio to read chief tweet and declared the bird is freed. Job done as far as he is concerned. There has been no official confirmation as yet. The silence from Twitter headquarters so far has been rather deafening. But perhaps there's nobody there to send that email. Mr. Musk has reportedly already fired chief executive. So the chief executive has been already fired. That is, he is in business, he's in action. Well, chief financial officer has also gone, and legal and policy executive is also gone. While chairman, LinkedIn profile suggests he is no longer at the firm. So firing has been ongoing, and these individuals have been fired. So what might what must do next time? A digital town square. Mr. Musk addressed potential advertisers in an characteristic humble message posted on the site on Thursday. In it, he spoke of buying Twitter because he wanted to try to help humanity, and said he wanted civilization to have this is very significant. He wanted civilization to have a digital town square. He also accepted that his mission might fail. In fact, that he wrote specifically to those who advertise on Twitter suggests he intends for now at least to stick with his digital advertising business model. That is just why the revenue starting to fall far for giants like Google owner Alphabet and Facebook as the global financial crisis go take a downturn. In the past, he has spoken bombastically about wanting to lighten moderation on that. More voices can be heard, and we know one thing that is going to happen is that Donald Trump might be looking to come back. Anyway, so let's go ahead. Let's go ahead with our news. So Twitter is now Elon Musk's property. Right. Let's look at other news that is making the headlines across the other side of the globe. Somewhere else in Europe, Zelensky again. So Russia deploys deployed thousands of drones in 2 days. That's what he's saying. It's a President Zelensky says Russia has launched more than 30 drones attacks on Ukraine in just 2 days. He added that in total, Moscow had also carried out more than 4,500 missile strike and over 8,000 air raids. Speaking from Kiev and standing beside what appears to be a downed Iranian shattered drone, Zelensky pledged to clip the wings of Moscow air power. Western officials believe Iran has supplied a large number of drones to Russia, but Moscow and Tehran denied it. It comes as U.S. Secretary of State called Russia aggressive use of drones appalling. Anyway, in recent years, Russia attacks has targeted Ukraine civilians, frustrated, damaging the country's electricity and water supply just as temperature begins to drop. Western countries say Iran is supplying its domestically developed drones to Moscow, and that Iran military experts are on the ground in Russia. Well, I was saying some people are not allowed to be aligned. Let me ask a question, because as far as we're concerned, I don't want to look at the causes of the war. I don't want to be interested in who is the aggressor, who is whatever. I don't want to know about that. The most important thing here is that we know the West is supplying tons of arms to Zelensky. There's a moral question over here. Are we helping to defend Ukraine? Are we fighting a proxy war? Are we just using this as a platform to destroy Russia, to fight by Russia? Are we just selling or creating business for those who might have supported us? There are a lot of questions. And if we've not supplied the arms, could we have saved more lives? Could the war have ended? What are we heading to now that we seem to be having a protracted war? What are we heading into? Anyway, let's proceed with our news. We're going to go for a quick commercial break. We have something to just handle quickly. But before then, let me bring you this video which we likely going to be talking about. And then we will go for a quick music break. And when we return, we will actually look at other headlines. We're expecting the guests to be in any moment from now. So let's go for this audio or video. We'll be right back.
This 14-year-old boy was just trying to walk home from school.
He's a young boy, bro. He's a young boy. Look, you're being a bit aggressive.
But the police mistook him for a nearby robbery suspect. Despite his pleas of innocence, he was handcuffed and thrown to the ground. Later, the officers released him without arrest after admitting he was the wrong person. The stop and search has left him physically and mentally traumatized.
I was scared. I thought I was going to die because this has never happened to me, so I was surprised.
Today, alongside his mum, he visited hospital to assess his injuries. Doctors say Deshaun has bruising to his back. When the police approached you, at any point did they explain why they were putting you in handcuffs?
No, they just came, snatched the phone, ended the call, and then they put me in handcuffs, put me against the wall.
Deshaun suffers from asthma. His mum ran to be by his side after a concerned member of the public called her about what was happening to her son. Janet, as you watch the moment the police are on top of your son, what goes through your mind?
Of course, straight away you think of George Floyd. He's a 14-year-old boy. You've got the police on his back, you've got them on his leg. Further in the video you see another police, so there's 3 of him on top of him. So, any parent shouldn't have to go through this. It's a worst parent's nightmare.
Until you determine that's the young man that's done it.
He matches the description.
The suspect the police say they were looking for was wearing a blue hoodie, but Deshaun was wearing this grey top and his school uniform.
It's the same old story, isn't it? Every black boy fits the description. This is a grey top. This is the top he was wearing yesterday. The top they said was navy blue, a navy blue hoodie. He had his complete school uniform on, which is orange and black. You can identify the difference. There's no excuse for what they did to my son and the excessive force they used on a 14-year-old black boy.
The police told ITV News an initial review of the incident has been conducted by the Met's Directorate of Professional Standards and no misconduct is apparent to them. But they acknowledge